In the previous video, we connected to data that was already present in the workbook. Now we're going to practice connecting to a variety of different types of data sources. In this template file, we connected to data that was already contained within the workbook itself. This time, let's practice connecting to a separate Excel file. Again, to launch Power Query Editor, we go up to Data, and then in this Get and Transform Data pane, we have lots of different options. We can select from a table or range, from websites, from text or CSV files. We can also click the drop down under Get Data to have even more options. We can connect to various common types of database files. You can import entire folders, but I'm going to select From File and From Excel Workbook. So again, you may need to navigate to your downloads or wherever you stored these lecture materials, but this time let's select Excel file. We make the connection and we can see that within this singular.xlsx file, there are 3 separately contained tables. Maybe I want to work with all of them. Maybe I want to combine data from one table with another. So I'm going to check Select Multiple Items, and let's import all of these. You may find this familiar. This comes from Case 1 earlier in the semester. We could directly load the data, but let's suppose we want to perform additional transformations. We would then click Transform Data. Now here we're back with the Power Query Editor. We can toggle back through different queries on the left-hand side. They've already been named. And here's the original win back list we worked with earlier. But yeah, this allows us to now work with multiple queries at a time. Again, this will be important later on when we start merging and appending queries. Just as a review, we've got the different data types up here, and let's suppose, sale ID, I want it to be text. We'll replace that, and thus we're changing the data type there. I won't make any more changes for now. I'll just close and load this data. And now we've imported 3 more tables into this worksheet with abbreviated snippets of our Case 1 data. We can also connect to tables contained within PDFs. If you go to the Lecture Materials folder, you can find a PDF titled FTX Political Contributions. Hopefully, you're still familiar with Sam Bankman-Fried. He was the co-founder of FTX, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, until it collapsed because of a huge fraud. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried was well known, not only for his philanthropic work, but also for making large donations to politicians and super PACs. And one day when I was reading an article about these donations, I was surprised to see that the author had included a PDF of these donations. And I was interested in analyzing this data. So let's try copying and pasting it into Excel. I'll highlight just a sample of this data for now. I'll hit Control C, and then navigating back to Excel here, I'll hit Control V to paste it. Obviously that didn't work very well. And even text to columns isn't going to save us here, because while we might be able to consider each space as a delimiter, there are also spaces between words within fields, so that's not going to work. This then motivates us to use Power Query Editor to extract, transform, and load this data. So I'll go back up to the top, Data, we'll get data from File, but this time our file will be a PDF. Navigate to the lecture materials for today, and I'll select FTX Political Contributions. Because this table extended over multiple pages, it's chopped it up into different sections. We're not going to work on combining data today, so for now I'm just going to work with page 1, and we'll transform it. Just practicing a few more of these basic applied steps that we can transform the data with. For example, notice row 1, hey, that's our column headers. When we imported this, it did not immediately promote that first row as column headers, but we know how to do that. We can go up to Use First Row as Headers, click that, good. What if I'm only interested in the contributions made by Sam Bankman-Fried himself? We can filter by clicking this drop-down arrow. I'll unselect everything and only include those that he was personally involved with. And we could load this and other of those tables into Excel. and we could do an analysis. For example, what if I want to see the count of politicians by party that he made contributions to? We can close and load this. And now we've captured this data in a more usable format. You'll notice I forgot to give this query a more descriptive name, so as a result, the query and the accompanying sheet has been titled Table 001, Page 1. That's not ideal, but we'll remember to do that next time. Lastly, I want to show you how to extract tables from a website. So if you navigate to the last sheet in our workbook, From Web, I've provided a link to a Wikipedia article about the longest rivers in the world. Maybe in my nerdy spare time, I'm trying to do a Benford's Law analysis with this data. So we can copy and paste this URL into a browser, and here's that Wikipedia article. I mean, to be frank, while I expect that river lengths will conform to Benford's Law, I don't think this data set is going to be sufficiently large enough to produce the distribution very precisely. Anyways, the reason why we're using Wikipedia is because typically the way they set up their data tables is pretty conducive to our extracting in Power Query. Looking at this, we can see we've got a single table with columns and rows of a potentially useful data table. So making sure that we've copied this URL, we can go back to our Excel file, go to Data, and in this Get and Transform Data pane, I'm going to select From Web this time. We'll paste in our URL, hit OK, and we can see that it's given us a variety of tables to look at. Now table 1, it looks like it's just got text there. Same with table 2. We're looking through here. Finally in table 3, we have the table that we've been looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and transform this one. Same process as we've used before. I just want to practice a few skills that we've done previously. For example, I'm going to remember to rename this query to be something descriptive, like river lengths. I think I'm going to remove the column that's length as expressed in kilometers. I'll right click and hit remove. One thing I don't really want to worry about, but is certainly going to be a problem as we try to go through this, is we've got footnotes put in this data table as well as other stuff in parentheses. I think that is something we would need to clean up if we truly wanted to analyze this data set, but we won't worry about that for now. We can again practice renaming columns. I'll double click the column header here. And this time I'm just going to call it length. Get rid of those miles. Then I'll close and load this data. Now ultimately, is this some very interesting data set that we're all going to need to rely on? Maybe not. But I did want to show how we can snag data from the internet. And here's one last thing to consider. It's not likely that the lengths of these rivers is going to dramatically change with each passing day. But every time I refresh this query, it will update based on the current values presented in the table on the website. And if that's something you want or need to rely on, if you use data from the internet that changes constantly, this can be a pretty useful way of having current data within your Excel file.